All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Yeah, ooh, what's going on, everybody? It must be Tuesday. It must be Who's Next with NXT, and I am your host, Virgil, the former booking world champion, also the CEO of the We Book It channel and network. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Who's Next with NXT, and I am your host. And yeah, guys, we're going to get right down to business. Of course, first and foremost, we know we're coming off a successful Bound for Glory pay-per-view where NXT had a lot to do with TNA's booking of 7,700 people being in attendance for Bound for Glory. Again, like I said, a really, really great show put together. Obviously, that show coming off the heels of none other than the TNA NXT Showdown, which was last Tuesday. So one thing we know for sure, last Tuesday, we found out that we do need to find out who is going to be the next NXT Women's Championship contender, number one contender. And of course, we wanted to find out what's next for Trick Williams, who just lost the TNA World title, but also who left hanging his partner, Ricky Saints, in the middle of the ring. So let's get down to business, y'all. None other than first, the show starts with the NXT Men's Champion, Ricky Saints, making his way to the ring. Saints says he never gets tired of that. He says he wants two things. He wanted two things that were evident at Showdown. When the odds are against him and his back is against the wall, he will fight for himself and for everyone. When things get tough, Trick Williams will fold under pressure. Ooh, the night that is the difference between him and Trick. The night he won the NXT Championship, everything became very clear to him in that moment when he held that title. For you, it has not been very clear. For a guy who says he built this place and is the face of NXT, you haven't tidied it up. He says Trick is delusional and stupid. With all that being said, he would love for Trick to prove him wrong. There are people who have held the title and waited for someone to become number one contender. He says he is calling his shot. He tells Tricky to prove him wrong. He says he is calling out Trick for Halloween Havoc. Trick says it ain't his fault. Ricky couldn't get it done. You say you are leading things, but you are trying to beat Trick. Trick doesn't wait in line. When he walked in, he was in the spotlight. You can't stand it. He is doing it better than Ricky, and he looks better too. You are so mad you want to put the title on the line. Do you want Trick to become a 3-time champion? You are going to do it on his time. Let's talk about it. Ricky says Trick is talking crazy. He didn't expect Trick to come out and confront him. He says he is Ricky Saints, and he says that they can talk about it. So it does look like we are headed towards, at Halloween Havoc, Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints for the NXT Championship. Definitely going to be a great match. That's definitely going to be your main event for Halloween Havoc. Be a really, really, really great match. I'm excited for that. Excited to see what they do right then and there. Next up, we see backstage Javon Evans, Leon Slater, and the Hardys. So Javon and Leon talk about how it is a shame their match at Bound for Glory was affected by Dark State. Evans says he would be champion. Then the Hardys show up and they say that Dark State is taking it out on all of them. Matt says Leon has been taken under their wings, and Evans is from North Carolina. They will all take some receipts at Halloween Havoc. So it does look like we're headed towards Dark State versus the Hardys, Evans, and Slater at Halloween Havoc. That match in itself is going to be phenomenal. Cannot wait to see that. A bunch of high flyers and Matt Hardy in the ring fighting each other. I think it's going to be great. So we'll see what happens. Next up, we see footage from NXT Anonymous where Jordan Grace confronted Kehlani Jordan in the back, and Kehlani says that Grace was not calling it down the middle. Jordan talks about being the champion in TNA. Grace says she made it possible for Jordan to be champion. Could we see Jordan Grace maybe going a little bit heel, a little bit dark here? And could we also potentially see her going back after that TNA World Championship again? Wouldn't mind it one bit. Next up, we see Matt Cardona versus Josh Briggs. This match was set up last week during TNA Showdown where Matt Cardona snuck into Ava's office and was talking with her. And then literally, Josh Briggs bust into the office. Matt hid behind the door. Josh demanded a match against Cardona. And then, like I said, Ava said that she's sure Matt wouldn't have a problem with it. So we knew this match was going to come up this week, and it did not disappoint. Cardona and Josh was physical as all hell. Josh Briggs did dominate this match. It did end with Matt trying to hit a radio silence for a near fall. Then Josh got him with the power bomb. He goes for a splash, but it's met with knees. Then Matt with an elbow, and he tries for a tornado DDT, but Josh pushes him off and hits him with a running knee for the 3 count. So Josh Briggs dominated the match and gets the win. For one more for NXT. So backstage, we have a familiar face back in NXT. So the Culling, Hank and Tank, Chase U, and then none other than Lyra Valkyria is backstage at NXT this week. So Hank and Tank are in the back talking about who should challenge the winner of the tag title match at Halloween Havoc. They are with Chase U. And Lyra says she was looking for Tatum, and she shows up with Izzy, Sean, and Nico. Izzy says that Hank and Tank had their chance and Chase U don't deserve it. Then she says Nico and Sean are the only team ready. Tank says it is time for a triple threat match. Izzy says she will win the Battle Royal and become the number 1 contender. Then Lyra asks about Tatum, and Izzy says Tatum will be by her side. So just setting things up, obviously in motion. We do need new number 1 contenders for the tag titles. We also do need to know who's going to be with who for the next women's championship match. So next up, we get basically a new video where it shows Fatal Influence leveling up. Fallon and JC talk about how they formed Fatal Influence to take over the division. They have been running this division. They have been a problem, but they never got in their way. The one they brought along was their biggest problem. It was time to get rid of her. The person who got rid of her was the one who showed their loyalty to the group. So Lainey says that they are titans in the division, and she saw them ascend to the top. Falling short against JC meant that to be like her, they needed to follow in her footsteps. Winning at all costs is their way. So JC welcomes Lainey, who is now joining Fatal Influence and will be the 3rd member of Fatal Influence. I said Anal Influence. I'm sorry. I apologize, y'all. Fatal Influence. Talking too fast. Next up, we had El Hijo Dr. Wagner versus Lexus King. We know All Ego is around somewhere and will be around for this match. But first, King hits a wrist lock and a takedown. And like I said, this match was very physical. This match was also a lot of high spots in this match, with the match coming to a close with King hitting a super kick and a chop, followed by a clothesline, then another dragon screw. King goes up to the top ropes, but he misses on the swanton when Wagner moves. Then Wagner with the Shining Wizard and the Mikinochu driver for the 3 count. So El Hijo Dr. Wagner wins via pinfall. Then after the match, Wagner wants Ethan Page to come to the ring. Page comes out and he says he is absolutely exhausting to be the greatest North American champion of all time. Everyone seems to be hunting him, and he's the Canadian champion. He has wrestlers from AAA, TNA, Raw, and SmackDown trying to get their eyes on him. He says you don't have to hunt him down anymore. At Halloween Havoc, you will be challenging the greatest North American of all time for his title. And then Wagner mentions Dia de los Muertos, and Page says he has no idea what he is saying. Page says he will beat him at Halloween Havoc. Wagner says he wants to face Page in a Day of the Dead match. Basically, anything goes, and the crowd pops hard to that one as we head to commercial break. We come back, and then we see Zarya talking with Sol Ruka about her new lipstick, and she asks Sol why she is in gear because it is in the tag match. Sol says there's a battle royal and she can face JC for the title. And Zarya wonders how many titles does she need, and that she would do it on her own. So you're kind of starting to see these two go a little back and forth. They've always kind of been in competition with each other, but I also know it pisses Zarina off that Sol Ruka wants all these championships. She is currently the NXT North American Women's Champion. She is also the women's speed champion at the same time. But she's going after another belt. She is basically trying to become the Sasha Banks of NXT. So backstage, we see Santino Marella, Ava, Leon Slater, Javon Evans, Channing Stacks, Lorenzo, Ariana Grace, Tricky Williams, and Ricky Saints. So Santino and Ava are with Leon and Evans. Leon asks if they can face any teams at Halloween Havoc. Channing Lorenzo says they look very comfortable. He says Leon wouldn't be champ without Dark State. Santino says his future son-in-law has a title match coming. We see a commotion in the back, and Trick is standing over Ricky Saints as he took him out backstage. So again, Ricky Saints and Trick Williams probably going to end up with a stipulation. If I had to think about it, it's going to get personal between those two. Speaking of personal, Blake Monroe versus Zarya is next. That's the next match after that. And so we see Blake come out, make her entrance, and then Zarya comes out. Blake looks for Soul to taunt Zarya. Zarya tosses Blake to the mat by the hair, and she poses. Blake with their waist lock, and Zarya tosses Blake back to the mat. Blake escapes a slam attempt, and Zarya picks up Blake off the mat. Zarya also, guys, you got to know, is the powerhouse here. She had control of the match for a little bit until they went to commercial break. They come back from commercial break, and Blake has taken over this match. The match ends with Ruka comes to the ring and she takes the chair. The referee has some words with Blake. Zarya gets Blake on her shoulders, and Blake hits Zarya in the throat with an object and hits a DDT for the 3 count. So Blake Monroe, once again, to her dirty, cheating ways. You can tell she's coming after Ruka and that NXT North American Women's Championship. After that, Ava announced that the NXT Men's Speed Tournament will begin next week with these 2 matches: Axiom versus Sean Legacy and Jasper Troy versus Zachary Wentz. So the winner of the tournament faces El Grande Americano for that Speed Championship. Next up, we have a triple threat tag team match: Hack and Tank versus Chase U versus the Culling, to see who will be the next new number 1 contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championships. This match was a lot of action, very quick. We actually ended up with no winner in this match. Lucien Price and Bronco Nima come out and go after all 3 teams, and they continue to attack them after the match. We have no winner, and we do not know who is going to be the next challengers for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Next up, we have Zarya coming out of the trainer's room, and Soul says it was all her fault. She thanks Zarya for sticking up for her. Soul says they are going to win the tag titles. She says she's giving Zarya her spot in their battle royal. Soul says Blake was right, that she was a little greedy. It's time for Zarya to have some gold. I like that. We'll see what happens. Next up, we see Ava and Ricky Saints in the back. We are back, and Ricky says he is looking for Trick Williams. Ava says Trick is gone, and Ricky says it's convenient. Ricky says he will stand up to the smug son of a bitch. And then Ava says Trick will be here next week for the contract signing for their match at Halloween Havoc. Ricky says he will do it for Ava. So we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, the match rundown right now for Halloween Havoc, we will see Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints for the NXT Championship. El Hijo D. Dr. Wagner faces Ethan Page in the Day of the Dead match for the North American title. The Hardys face Dark State for the tag titles. JC Jane will defend her title against the winner of the Battle Royal. So literally, it's coming to shape already. Next up, we see Dark State that take down the Hardys in the back, and Dark State stands tall over them. Also announced for next week, we have Leon Slater defends the X Division title against Channing Lorenzo. OTM faces Hank and Tank. Sean Legacy faces Axiom in a Speed Championship match, and Jasper Troy faces Zachary Wentz in a Speed match. And then last but not least, we are at our main event, which is the NXT Women's Championship Battle Royal. It's Lei Ying Lee versus Mara Sade versus Zaya Brookside versus Heather by Elegance versus Jordan Grace versus Victoria Crawford versus Kaylani Jordan versus Jada Parker versus Easy Dame versus Tatum Paxley versus Lash Legend versus Cassie Lee versus Jessie McKay versus Kendall Gray versus Lola Vice versus Carmen Petrovic versus Ruka versus Thea Hale versus Ariana Grace versus Ren Sinclair. This match, like I said, it was a lot to keep up with, but honestly, like I said, the winner of the match ended up being Tatum Paxley, which I'm assuming everybody already knew when she got kicked out of Fatal Influence. You knew they were going to probably put her over as the next big competitor for the title. It came down to Grace and Tatum in the end. And then, like I said, after that, Tatum got the win. JC Jane comes out with Fallon and Laney for the contractually obligated stare down. Lyra runs past Fatal Influence to celebrate with Tatum. Izzy Dame does not look happy. So interesting that they have Lyra back in NXT and she is doing stuff with them also. But that was your NXT rundown of this episode. I appreciate all of you guys that tuned in and watched. Yeah, man, stay tuned. We got more and more coming up on the We Book It Network. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, keep those booking pencils sharp. Keep on booking.